I'm on stage and I'm pretending
Yeah.
to play guitar, little third grade me or whatever, and I'm singing while I'm doing it, right? And so many people came up to my parents afterwards and they were like, we had no idea he could play guitar too. And like, I must have just nailed it as a third grader.
That's very Tara Westover of you.
There was a period of time where colleges would host air guitar battles.
Oh.
And you would have killed it. You missed your calling.
I don't think I would have.
Round out our
dance.
Round out our top. I have seen you dance, and remember at your bachelor party in Evansville where you had to dance with a girl, and then you gave her a high five afterwards.
So bad.
Oh my gosh! I still can picture that high five.
Oh, that was awesome.
I was very uncomfortable.
I can still picture that high five. Welcome to The Cover, where three Hoosier friends judge books by their covers and movies by their trailers.
That's right. I'm Brett, here with my fellow Indiana natives, Remington and Marcus, ready to dive into the stories that keep us up all night and occasionally put us to sleep.
Whether you're a bookworm, movie buff, or just here for the witty banter, we've got you covered.
Each week, we'll dissect a different book or movie, sharing fun facts, hot takes, and moments that make Marcus cry. Spoiler alert, we're not experts, but we're definitely opinionated.
From literary masterpieces to blockbuster flops, nothing is safe from our snarky reviews and wild tangents. Who knew Hoosiers could be this entertaining?
So grab your popcorn and reading glasses because we're about to embark on a hilarious journey through the pages and screens that shape our lives. Or at least our weekends.
You're listening to The Cover. Let's get the show on the road before one of our kids wakes up.
Is Remington's Casablanca.
No, it's not, because I like It's a Wonderful Life.
I like them both a lot.
Okay, all right.
But here we go. I'm not gonna suggest Brett movies anymore because it's a piece of my heart I'm giving him.
I know, that's why I reserved it. And then Marcus went and admitted to having to watch it twice to find out why he was watching it.
That's not what he said.
I watched it twice because the first time I was watching it and I was trying to take notes, and when I'm doing that, if I haven't seen it in a long time, I'm missing things. So I just wanted to experience the movie the first time. Then I wrote down notes. Then I went back and watched it again for the people so that I could write down actual quotes and things.
A man of the people. I have a hard time when I trust people so much that when they tell me, I just know how excited.
Then it has to be one of those things where the first time you watch it, it's a letdown, and then you think about it later and you're like, oh, that actually was really good. Then you watch it again, you're like, oh. That's what I'm hoping it is for you. Yeah. Because if collectively the world believes that it's a top 5 movie of all time, then there must be something to it. I remember when I first started reading Hemingway, I was like, what is all this about? And then like a month would go by and be like, oh my gosh, that Hemingway novel was the best book I've ever read.
Do you think there's a so you don't believe it's a matter of time period it was released in? You're calling this timeless.
I think that has something to do with it, but it's definitely not a movie where if you watched it today expecting it to have the graphics and the editing, that you'd be like, why is it doing that?
They finished filming this on August 2nd and launched it later that year.
Yeah.
Insane.
Huh.
Yeah. Well, to his point, not a whole lot of graphics to worry about. Not a whole lot of post-production going on. Rem, do you want to address the elephant in the room? Your throat? Are you
yeah,
all right?
It's gonna be
it honestly makes for a great radio voice, so it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, grab someone next to you, tell them how much you love them. This is a night rider taking you into the night.
Are you is this a black tea, Earl Grey?
This is a peppermint tea.
Ooh, big fan.
Yeah.
Specific.
I didn't know you guys would notice. So here we are.
When Stacia worked for me, I'm sure Mark's experienced the same. She's in theater, so she would be performing and talking to a lot of people in my office at the same time, and she would be a regular like tea, honey, like saving her voice all.
Yeah, I already had the honey. I have some really. I'm a honey snob.
Ooh, what throat coat?
Yeah, there's throat coat.
Yeah.
Yep.
I learned about medicine balls from you but those are just for feeling yucky, not for throats.
From like Starbucks?
Yeah,
that's a Kelsey. I've never actually had one. Oh no, I have had one, but yeah. Yeah.
I have no idea what we're talking about.
We found out.
medicine ball drink?
Last week we found out Marcus's remedy is just Red Bull and lots of drugs all at once.
That's for a headache.
But then if you also steal them, it gives you this rush. Makes it go away faster.
Adrenaline. I've just been itching for my next thing to steal from CVS. Super easy. Like if you're gonna steal from somewhere, steal from CVS.
Yeah, don't. Halloween's coming up. Don't go trick or treating. Just go to CVS.
Yeah. Now the problem is they don't have anything you want
Yeah. Oh, really? They're out in their
for Halloween.
stockings and shit.
Oh yeah, the candy. I was thinking about. I'm all about costumes right now.
Is this a? This is a not template's the wrong word. It starts with a P. So what is this a hat for Parks Place
Pub.
that you thought about making, didn't make, or is this one that's available for sale? Prototyped, yes.
This?
Yes.
No, this was these sold out.
Man, it's because of the white background logo
it's sweet.
stamp. It's great.
Yeah, we'll get some more of these.
It's very, very good.
Yeah, we don't make any money on swag.
Well, you probably do because
I was
people
just gonna-
talk to me about Parks Place Pub every time that I wear
The hat?
the stuff.
Okay.
I was just gonna complain about how much Parks Place stuff I've purchased, and I was like, all right.
Yeah, take it easy there.
Our guest speaker at church this week, Jamie something or other, was at Parks Place with her
Oh no,
daughter.
Yeah, no, it was. Shoot, she sent me that. She's got like 300,000 followers.
Oh, she's great.
Lisa Harper.
Lisa Harper, she's legit.
Yeah.
Oh, from That Girl or whatever.
And then she spoke Sunday as well.
Oh, did she?
Which we won't get into why.
Yeah,
Marcus
she did a
doesn't know
reel for just playing cornhole at Parks Place
that. With her daughter.
and tagged us.
Nice.
It's like, that's pretty sweet. Nice little bump. Where's she from? Texas?
Nashville,
Yeah.
Tennessee.
I thought she was from the South. Yep.
Yeah, she was awesome. Highly recommend. Lisa Harper, you said Lisa?
I think so.
Riley really liked her a lot. That girl, Jessica did too as well,
Yeah.
I'm assuming.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, great,
Mhm.
great event.
Heard she was funny. That's
very
what I
funny.
heard.
She held back on Sunday apparently. Friday was the real Let Your Hair Down. Lisa Harper. Rem, besides your throat, what's new? What's
I
going
got
on?
a funny story from this morning.
Please.
So my kids go to school in a church building, East 91st Street, pretty big church, a couple thousand, but it's built like a church with a chapel. And you drop your kids off, then you go up and you watch from the balcony, and then you go back down and picture like 3 doors that go to the church, and then a couple other doors that go to various halls that go to the school. Okay, so I usually go out into the hall and I wave to the kids as they go by, and then I leave. Well, today, you know, this isn't a potty mouth podcast, but had to go number 2, and so I'm in the toilet for what I didn't think was that long. Apparently was like a little too long. I get out and all the doors are locked, like to the entire church, the entire school. And like I'm trying to like shake them a little bit just to see, and it's almost like embarrassing. Like the cameras are about to like pick me up, and someone's gonna come on the intercom saying, "Sir, were you in the bathroom too long?" So then I'm forced to go outside and walk around the perimeter of this massive church, which does not have like a sidewalk. I'm going around
Ton of windows you're going across.
yeah, I'm like
probably,
waving at kids. And by the way, my legs are jelly, so I'm already walking funny. Right?
Because you sat on the toilet
Yeah,
for too long.
for too long.
Checking your fantasy football team.
Was the toilet at least like one of the ones that are like 6 inches off the ground made for children, or was this a normal?
No, it was a normal toilet. Yeah.
I go to the bathroom a lot at my kids' school as well, and it makes me think, why were we so embarrassed to go poop at school when we were in school?
I never have been.
Oh,
To be embarrassed?
Yeah, like-
because the kids would see your shoes and just start banging on. Like I don't know about your experience.
yeah, it was just like, oh, like
Brett's pooping.
if you had to go, you're like, all right, let me hurry up and get done before anybody gets in here. Like, why?
I know people who still won't go. They won't go number 2 in a public restroom. That's crazy to me.
I mean, I
Like
get
they
it.
only
It's nasty.
they only go at home.
It's nasty. Yeah.
I basically
Crazy.
clean the toilet before
I saw this
use
take.
it.
I saw this reel where the take was, "Oh, I only go at work because then you're stealing free minutes from work."
There's a really great.
Who wastes their job?
There's
that
a
much?
great Elmo gif about pooping on company time that Logan will send me. Every DVM Zune, he's like, no video. I'm like,
No video off. Why is there two Brett Wiggins in the Zoom meeting?
I just sent him
One's
that.
the iPhone. What do you need that for?
I sent him that gift. Welcome to the Cover Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Brett Wiggins. And as always, to my left, my good friend,
Marcus Mangus.
brand new hat.
Brand new hat.
You went to a Wabash
Homecoming.
game, homecoming. So you guys lined up a pretty stellar opponent for homecoming, I'm assuming.
Ohio Wesleyan. The Fighting Jake Misers.
52-0.
No, it was like 30-6.
Nice.
We're not as good as we used to be, but
you got a new
future
coach.
is looking up.
He's rebuilding for good things.
he's the assistant coach presently, but he will be the new coach next year.
Oh.
And yes, that
You know what?
that we are all excited
That's
about.
True
complete-
JD fans story.
That's completely a Wabash thing of like giving a guy time to know it's his time
Yeah,
and naming the replacement. Like, actually,
it's been his time for a little while now.
it's such a gentleman move, though.
He's a Wabash guy. He does all the right things, but except for win, and he loses Monon Bell games, and
Ooh, can't
you
lose
don't you don't stick
This is an
around
Ohio.
for very long.
This is an Ohio
be doing
State.
that.
This is an Ohio State Michigan situation where it's like you could go 10-0, but if you lose that game,
Yeah,
and you
100%.
could go 0-10, but if you win that game,
True. Well, maybe not 0-10. Maybe like
if someone went 0 for
6
10
and 4.
but won that game 2 years in a row, 0 for 10, and then
well, they would still have a job then.
Yeah,
but
that's
they
what-
would
that's what-
probably they would probably be on the hot seat.
that's
Yeah.
amazing. That's
Mhm.
great. To my right, actually, directly in front of me,
I actually thought you guys forgot about me for a second.
my brother-in-law and good friend, Sir
Remington Ramsey.
Remington Ramsey. Rem, what are we covering this episode?
Well, buddy, we're covering one of my favorite movies that you enjoyed so much. Can't wait to get your take, Brett Wiggins. Casablanca, set in 1942, the story of Rick Blaine, a cynical, world-weary expatriate who runs a nightclub in Casablanca, Morocco, during the early stages of World War II. Despite the pressure he constantly receives from the local authorities, Rick's cafe has become a kind of haven for refugees, seeking to obtain illicit letters that will help them escape to America. But when Ilsa, a former lover of Rick's, and her husband show up to his cafe one day, Rick faces a tough challenge which will bring up unforeseen complications, heartbreak, and ultimately an excruciating decision to make.
Husband.
Husband.
Psh. You check your mic? You good?
I'm good.
Oh, great. What'd you know going into it, Rem? When was the first time you saw this movie? Not when it came out in theaters.
Yeah.
Clearly.
I didn't watch old movies like this until I got into college. Then I really started to try to tackle my movie buff snobbery. And I tried to come in with a really open mind because I knew it was a classic. And after watching it the first time I munched on it, I was like, yeah, I really like that movie.
How did you even watch an old movie like this in college? Would it be the $5 bin situation or what?
Probably. I own this movie, so I don't. It probably wasn't even 5. It's probably 10. Like, certain movies never drop.
There was a certain period of time where you could download about any movie
on LimeWire.
for a little bit.
Yeah.
I feel like there was a moment where YouTube was kind of like the Wild Wild West, where
You
everything
could find
was
something
on
like
YouTube
on
for a minute.
Thursdays.
Yeah. But yeah, I was like, how do you even watch this movie? So $5 bin for you. What I know going into it, that it was a highly popular movie that I would have called timeless because of how many times I had seen it coming up. And that's it. I didn't know what it was about. I had no idea it was World War II. I had no idea that the line, "Here's looking at you, kid," comes from this movie. I knew none of
You
it.
knew that line though.
I knew that line.
When would that have come out in context? Just hanging out with friends, someone would say it.
It may have been requoted in another movie. Maybe
Many
many movies.
Here's looking at you, Sid.
Actually, Riley's gonna have a very good post about that quote, I think. Or no, it's about Gladiator, and you'll know it by the time this comes out. I think she's gonna post and say, "Are you not entertained?" Who has used this quote without realizing
That it came
where
from Gladiator.
it came from? But I think "Here's looking at you, kid" is even probably more likely used. Marcus, what'd you know going into it? This is your first time seeing it or no?
I think it is. So I thought that I'd seen it before.
What were you thinking?
No, I've seen scenes.
Snips of it.
I've seen scenes from it before. I knew many of the quotes. I knew the plot, but I had never seen the movie.
Yeah.
Because I started watching it and I started to take notes, and I'm sitting there, and while I was just like, you know what, I just need to experience this movie. So
Yeah.
I ended up watching it twice in 2 days so that I could be ready for this podcast. But yeah, I mean, I knew quite a bit about it, especially for never having seen it before. You know, I watched it because TCM, Turner Classic Movies, I think, had like it had it for free on one of the channels that I had, and there was a little snippet beforehand, and he said that it's the greatest studio movie of all time.
Who's he?
The guy that was introducing it, he was
Sure.
giving some some thoughts about the film, and I know that there are many people in the film industry that would say that this is, you know, very high up on their list, if not like the most.
Yeah. What's crazy
the best film.
about what you're saying, and your first fun fact of the day is that Humphrey Bogart went on record, not on record, but he would have lunches with Orson Welles, and they would talk all the time. And while he was shooting it, he told Orson he was shooting the worst movie that he's ever been in.
Yeah.
And a lot of people felt off. He and Ingrid Bergman both felt like at times they just wanted to get out of it because they just felt like it wasn't. They didn't see any of it. They just felt like the plot was off and
Vibe was off. All that. Henry played who?
Humphrey.
Yeah.
Humphrey Bogart is Rick.
Is Rick? Okay.
Yeah.
Also, don't know if you're going to share, there is a famous Rick's Cafe in Jamaica. That is like the spot to go to. You jump off cliffs. It's awesome. Didn't know. I'm assuming there's some tie to this situation.
Depends on how long it's been around, but the original movie was supposed to be called Welcome to Rick's.
Oh.
Or Everybody Goes to Rick's is the name of the original.
It's based on a
name.
screenplay,
Yeah.
right? That Warner Brothers bought.
Yeah, for $20,000.
Casablanca is just so fun to say. It's a great decision. I say Casa.
Casablanca.
Casa.
Casablanca.
I don't know. All right. 30-second synopsis and a 9-word for Marcus. Marcus, you want to go first or second?
Couldn't even get that out.
I can go first if you want.
Okay, rock and roll.
That'll be the first time in podcast history. We're just
Oh boy.
All right.
Expatriate.
Whoa, one word? Yeah, dash.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Expatriate gets surprised by Ilsa, then has to choose. That's 9 words.
That is 9
I'm not
words.
even going to make fun of you for calling her a Disney princess instead of Isla, but
Her name's Elsa.
Ilsa.
it's Ilsa.
It's like Ilsa.
Okay,
Ilsa.
whatever.
Into the
spelled
unknown.
I wasn't like looking up the names of the characters, but it sounded like Elsa to me.
Have you heard the Frozen 2 soundtrack with all of the modern bands?
Fallout Boy?
That's
Crushing it?
not Fall Out Boy. That's Panic, I believe.
Oh, Panic at the Disco. You're correct. They
And-
crush
and
it.
he
They do
does
great.
crush it.
That
Weezer-
guy, Brandon,
Weezer does
Brandon
Weezer.
Urie, right? That guy can freaking sing.
Yeah.
I saw him live once.
Yeah, me too.
Dude.
My wife and I took
Pipes.
Was it the
Our-
Weezer concert? Weezer and Panic?
maybe.
Was it in
Did you and I see that
Deer
together?
Creek? Was it at Deer Creek?
No,
Oh, okay. That's the one. That's
no.
where I saw
Ours
it.
was Walk the Moon.
Oh,
and
that would've been good.
Oh, nice.
Panic.
Now, Weezer does the ballad, right?
They do
yes.
Great. Doing that for the
Christoph ballad.
Me and the kids sang that many times. Or maybe
Who would
it
have
was
thought
just-
Weezer and Panic at the Disco in a Disney movie?
That's a really
You know?
cool, and I don't know if they do that with a lot of soundtracks.
They
or
have
they've
been
started
lately,
to,
I think. Yeah.
But nice.
Moana definitely has some of that on their soundtrack.
But Lin-Manuel
Manuel Miranda.
Oh yeah, Jordan
Yeah.
Fisher sings that.
Yeah.
He's got some good songs too.
he kind of takes over most of it. I feel like, or he's in a lot of it. Like I can tell.
Well, he wrote the music.
Right. He writes a lot of songs, but then that's like his chance to like.
He did
Sing it.
Encanto too. Man,
Dude, he's great.
he's awesome.
Yeah,
Very, very good.
very talented.
All right, slam poetry. 30 seconds on the clock. Go. Love and romance in Paris. Refuge in Casablanca. Nazis, French, and others. Oh my! Lots of crime, lots of mischief, lots of death. The long lost girl, she's back. He's pissed. He's not pissed. He's pissed. He's not pissed. Awesome black piano player and singer. You know what song I want you to play. Is he screwing over the people for his love? Plot twist. He really is the good guy. That was exactly 30 seconds. That was good.
Do you have
again,
that
Sam.
written out?
I did that one. I prepared. That one I prepared. I felt like I was getting off my game. I had to prep a little bit. All right. What made us stop? What made us think? First thing that came to me, dude. Old movies with the map and like just the beginning,
the voiceover.
With the voiceover, the music, the
Sets
credits
it
at the
all
beginning.
up.
It just, I don't know. That felt really good. Kind of, I don't know, the Fox 20th Century Fox, the dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
Like that's, I don't know. It just kind of set the mood.
You know what else has that little, across the globe, Walter Cronkite news soundtrack is the original Willy Wonka. When they go to the montage of seeing. By the way, is montage the word I'm looking for? I say it a lot on this show. I'm talking about like the Rocky.
They kind of go through a lot of time in a little bit of time.
Yeah, is that what a montage is?
Yeah.
What's the other word I'm looking for? Where you're like the Rocky cut scene where you see weeks of training in 20 seconds.
I also would call that a montage, but maybe.
What's the other word I'm looking for?
We can ask at Con.
Okay, we'll ask the people at Con. We haven't mentioned Con in a couple episodes. I feel like they're missing out.
Montage is what I.
Montage is right.
I think so.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's in
Good
the
job,
original Willy
Brett.
Wonka.
Way to go.
That's actually why I'm questioning it, is because he's my source.
Rem, this is your birthday pick.
It is my birthday
You want to
pick.
lead the singing on our first kind of topic we're diving into here?
I just think it's such smart writing. I feel like every dialogue piece is closely calculated. There's not one single line which is a throwaway. The entire thing is quotable. Almost every line is brought back in the end of the movie, right, and has purpose. So there's the love scene, which is so hard to watch because you're not rooting for someone who just cheated on her husband or was playing two dudes. And by the way, when they originally wrote this, they didn't tell her who she was in love with. So she, as an actress, had to
I don't think they
pick.
knew because they didn't have the end
They didn't,
done.
right? Like they're writing that, much like Gladiator, that was a working script.
Oh, wow.
So they knew what the bones of what they wanted to accomplish, but they didn't have the ending yet. And they also brought in another writer to write the love scenes because they didn't feel like their love scenes were captivating.
That was one of my hidden gems. Was she never kisses Laszlo?
That is
They
interesting.
Never kiss Laszlo.
And so you're trying to depict a woman who does love her husband, but also loves this.
I mean, that'd be very difficult, though. She thought he died.
Right.
And I
Oh,
don't-
totally. So that's what I'm saying. This is why it's such smart writing. You can't fault them for how it happened. You can only
Sure.
You know what I mean? It'd be one thing if she was just a bad person, then you wouldn't cheer for her.
I felt like it was they were partners in crime more than a married couple in love with each other. I felt like it was more of a professional, I believe in what you're doing, we're going after this cause together, I'm rooting for you thing versus I'm madly in love with this guy.
True.
But we don't know what that looked like before.
I mean, yeah, I don't know.
The movie just doesn't choose to focus on their actual intimacy. But you can tell she's all about him in that one scene where he leads the band.
Yeah, she loves him.
And she's looking off.
Yeah.
I think Ingrid Bergman, the scenes where they pan in on just her face and you hear words or music and all you can see is her facial expressions.
Yeah.
It's some
so hard to do as an actor.
pretty
Really
incredible
impressive.
acting.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's great. She's fantastic.
I thought the dialogue too, just the way that they, ping ponged back and forth. We talked about this, I think, with Leo, how quite a bit of his movies and his acting, he would depend on
his lines.
on the lines and the dialogue.
Yeah.
And we talked about it with Alan Alda a little bit too, when he was saying in Glengarry Glen Ross and the speech patterns that were tough for him to pick up on, but that imitated real life very, very well. And the sing-songy nature. I thought that there was a lot of that in this. And I think that they had to be better because they didn't have much of the special effects. There was less editing that they could do or do easily, right? So I just wonder how much of that is those actors just being very, very good at their craft. It felt actually to me more like a a play of some kind.
I feel like most of
then-
the movies
Yeah.
back then almost had to be because they were mostly stage actors
Yeah,
that were also in movies.
they became
Correct.
movie stars.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're not as far from the crossover of like it wasn't long before that when you wanted to go entertain, you didn't go to a movie, you went to a play,
Right,
you
and
went
so when
to-
we first started like shooting movies, they filmed it like they were basically
Right.
just filming a stage
Right.
with Charlie Chaplin, like that was the bridge.
Well, and they filmed this one too. I mean, they filmed it in sequence, which is crazy.
Yeah.
that doesn't ever happen.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, because they didn't have the ending. They didn't
Well,
know.
they kind of filmed it in sequence. The first thing they ever filmed, I don't know if you read this,
I
was the love scenes in Paris.
Oh,
because they
well, that
had,
makes sense.
They had that stage.
That's still in sequence,
which was really
technically.
hard for them to do because on day one, you're supposed to act like you're in love with this person who you just met. Usually on like sets, you have a couple warm-up scenes, but that was the first scene they shot.
They didn't do it, and they did it all in the studio too, which is why it was able to be produced so quickly.
Right.
Which is crazy.
Yeah,
You
the
almost got
script-
married to a man you just met? Yes, keep up. What stage of the war was this released? Like what 1942, what's happening in world? Is it over? Is it
It's not over.
The
40, 44, 45.
So that's I thought it was
45.
like the way they depicted the Nazis, which they never use the word Nazi, I don't think. They just use the word German. I'm trying to think like, okay,
They never used the word Nazi?
I don't think so. I don't think they use the word Nazi at all. They use the word German. It was clear that it was like
They say Gestapo.
it was a running joke that Germany was taking over all this territory. It was kind of a running joke that it was they all
In the movie, it was a running joke?
I don't maybe I'm using the word running joke too lightly, but it was like they would mention like, well, that's still neutral territory for now, stuff like that. They would all clearly have a distaste for the German general, but it wasn't like they were all actively like it's us against them. Like it was just very
Well, they were
and we were in-
hedging their bets, right?
because it's like if they win, we don't want to.
Well, they could be occupied by Germany at any time because Germany already has occupied France at this
So
point.
do you think it was that, and or was it we're early in this war and we don't really understand how bad Germany is? And
Oh no, they knew by this time.
really,
Well,
Well, because the war had been going on.
yes and no. Yes and no. And America was, for the most part, trying to figure out if they were going to stay out of it or not, or how involved they want to get until Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, which was
Pearl
December
Harbor-
7, 1941.
41. So this was, 6 months to 9 months after that.
Is when they filmed it.
And so that scene where he's talking, where he's drinking alone and Sam comes in and he says, what do you think they're doing in New York right now? And he has that whole monologue about them sleeping. He goes, I think they're sleeping. That was actually supposed to be about Americans sleeping on the war. It was a double entendre.
Well, that plus I felt like part of the reason that this movie was so successful and became a part of Americana was because in a lot of ways, I put this as something I thought about. A lot of ways, Rick, represented America, right? Like he was the expatriate. They didn't talk about politics. He wasn't involved. Nothing happened until something did happen. And they were threatening someone that he loved. And he said, and then he decided to do, in his mind, what he felt like was the right thing.
yeah, what was the line he kept saying?
And he took a position that meant that, he could very well be put into a concentration camp or killed or whatever. I mean, he shot he shot the German.
Right.
Spoiler alert, and that's very much, I mean,
What's the line he kept saying? He kept saying, I stick my neck out for nobody.
yes.
Yeah.
Which was America.
Yeah. He said it over and over again. And for a character to feel like that and for everyone to still love him is so interesting to
I
me.
couldn't figure
Everyone
out
loved Rick.
if he was good or bad at the beginning, though, and I think that's on purpose, right? I said I think good. We're still early though because he's so standoffish.
But see, you use that term so loosely, good guy or bad guy. I think the best movies are people that are
Complicated.
complicated.
Yeah,
I mean,
complicated
that's,
is a great word.
that's literally what I wrote down. All of Rick's relationships are deep and complicated. but he likes it that way. Like, name one relationship he has in this movie. The policeman, Sam is probably his oldest friend, but he also works for him and is back during,
He definitely trusts Sam the most.
He trusts Sam.
He's got a lot of people who are very loyal. His lead, what would you call him? Waiter.
Casino.
Well, he takes care of his people,
He takes
right?
care of
whenever
his people,
whenever he
but I
got
think
shut down.
They also know who he was at a previous time, because it sounds like Rick's got a past of standing up for what's right, and I think they know that too.
Well, kind of, but
guys, one of our kids woke up. I know they can't hear that, but there's some screaming going on. There's some lungs on
Little
Remy
Remy,
there.
that's little Junior.
He's hungry, man.
Sorry for interrupting there.
No, but I just feel like he's got a loyal crew. They know what he's all about.
No,
But
they were loyal.
don't they say at one point like he fought for both sides of the war, or he not both sides of this war, but he fought for both sides of a war.
I think what was
he ran
unclear
guns
was
to Italy.
I think what was unclear was, at least I never picked up on it, was why he couldn't go back to America.
Well, they never said it. They were specific. They specifically left that out on purpose. And they did that so that you'd wonder. But he was basically a sellsword. He would fight for whoever paid the most. He said both
Yeah,
paid
but he
great.
always ended up on the side of the underdog, quote unquote, is what they kept
I do
coming
remember
back
that.
to.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you're. I mean, whoever the underdog is. I mean, at one point the Nazis were underdogs. That doesn't mean he has.
I'm not saying he was.
Anyway, my point
picking the right
is like
side.
you can't in a movie like this. That's why I think modern cinema is kind of not as deep at some points. Like some of the movies that we talk about, they made a much more attempt to have deep, complicated characters and complicated relationships in the 40s.
They did a great job of it here, because I'm as we mentioned before, I'm pretty good at guessing the end of things, and I definitely guessed wrong on many of these things. I made snap judgments on him. We're deciding it's Ilsa, correct?
Yeah,
Ilsa. On the French. Well, would he be the French general? Is that what he would technically be? The guy who's kind of in charge
captain?
of that area, French captain. Yeah. I was wrong on a lot of stuff in this movie. So to its credit,
it's pretty good.
there were some twists that I did not see coming.
Can
at
we
all.
pause? What are we drinking here?
Yeah,
This
what do
is
we
good.
got tonight?
This is tasty.
Marcus.
This
Yeah.
is yum.
Well, they drink a lot of this in the movie, which will be another thing I'll bring up later. But we've got some cognac, some French cognac.
When you say
it
they
obviously
drink-
has to be French, because it can't not be French if it's cognac.
Okay.
So-
What you said they drink a lot of it. Did you hear them ordering this drink a lot?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And when they were getting like the French 75, or if they were getting the champagne, whatever, the champagne cocktail, I think they called it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Both of those would have cognac in them.
Okay.
And then
I didn't know French 75s had cognac in them.
I didn't either, but when I looked it up, it used to be that.
Okay,
were
so they
cognac.
changed.
Yeah.
Because I love French 75s. They're
Me
very
too.
refreshing.
Delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is it's got like a more of a liqueur.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is cool.
Yeah, it's like a
I thought for
fermented
sure
wine.
you'd choose a gin.
Well, yeah.
I mean, that's the
I love
top
gin.
5 quote of all time.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
But it's, and it is what it is. So
You can take the
we hadn't
cognac out of the French 75, but
we
you
had
can't
had
take it out of the
gin
cover.
on the podcast. We have not had cognac, and cognac was
We
certainly
have not had Kanye.
It was haven't had that either. But it was certainly consumed much more in the movie. If you pay
Yeah, it
attention.
definitely had the Roaring 20s vibe at some parts in the bar.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, that was one of my notes. Was everybody's stuck in this place? They want to leave, so they all just choose to kind of drink and hang out and party, and then wake up and do the same thing all over again.
waiting for their papers.
Yeah, waiting for their papers, waiting for their plane ticket out, and it's so unproductively. Like, what are we doing?
Dude, I'll tell you this though too. I'm sure they were actually drinking in this movie, because Humphrey Bogart is like famously a drunk.
Oh, really?
Yeah, apparently, I can't remember. It was him and one other actor, and I think it's on the movie Cleopatra that I heard this about. It might.
He's in Cleopatra.
I don't know if he is or not, but it doesn't really matter what the movie is. They were over in Africa. Okay, they were filming a movie in Africa, and the whole cast gets sick because they were drinking the water. But him and the other main actor in the movie, the two guys, didn't get sick
because they were only drinking vodka?
only were drinking liquor.
That's so funny.
So yeah, pretty serious drinkers. They were.
Have you guys ever been stuck somewhere and you just wanted to go home and you couldn't get there? I mean, yeah, you were on the Southwest fiasco in Florida last year, right?
Yeah.
That was you. Our honeymoon, we got the dates mixed up and we get back.
Oh, you guys had a whole thing.
Yeah, we get back to our hotel. We step off the shuttle and the guy goes, room 263? And we're like, yeah. He's like, you were supposed to leave this morning. And we're like, no, it's tomorrow. He's like, okay, you're sure? I get back. I'm like, Riley, is today Thursday? So then, though, there's only
Quite
one.
the honeymoon.
There's only one flight. There's one flight in, one flight out of St. Thomas on our airline every day.
Oh yeah.
The next day was booked. So we're already looking 2 more days out. But there does come up, like, there's definitely a 6-hour period of, like, this sucks. I just wasted a bunch of money. Like, how much was this resort every night again? Awesome.
Yeah.
But then at some point we're like, it was probably 12 of the best hours of our honeymoon because we just let it go. So.
Careful. That's Rem's sister you're talking about.
Podcast is PG.
But they just all are just waiting. They're just waiting.
I almost missed my flight in Ireland.
Oh.
Because I went punch for punch with Fiacco.
Oh, yeah.
Broke my wrist.
Oh, I forgot.
And I had to sling it up and sign my papers with the left hand. I'm completely like, out of it because I'm in so much pain. And I get in the cab and I get in the front seat and I accidentally get in the driver's side because it's switched in Ireland. The guy's freaking out, yelling at me. We rushed to the hospital. We should have gone to the hospital. We rushed to the airport, and I'm signing everything left-handed. We finally got on the plane, but that was a scary couple.
I'll give you mine real fast. When we were in Costa Rica, Jessica's passport gets stolen. You remember this?
Oh yeah.
And we had to go on.
It was at the resort, right?
Yeah, at the resort.
That was a not. You weren't the only one with that issue.
Yeah. Apparently, at the time at least,
this was an epidemic.
At the time, Costa Rica was like the place where you get your passport stolen. We had to then go to the U.S. Embassy, which was like a 5-hour bus ride to San Jose. And we had to stay another night. And I had the concierge set up a hotel room because I had no idea where to go. And he puts us in like the jankiest hotel room. You talk about just being stuck somewhere and wanting to just leave.
Yeah.
Slept zero that night.
Awful, man.
I mean, imagine being in the middle of Mexico or the middle of Jamaica or
that's what we were. It was like we were like downtown San Jose. Was
this like a no one spoke
Rica.
English situation? Like anywhere you
went?
mean,
they yes and no.
Yeah.
I mean, I speak enough Spanish and understand enough Spanish, and they speak enough English and understand enough English.
That's what we call Spanglish.
To get you in the wrong place at the wrong time. Yes. Because I've thought what you're thinking before and been way overconfident and ended up in a situation I did not.
I would say chances are decent that I speak Spanish better than you.
Really?
Yeah.
What? You think you speak good Spanish?
I think by the time I'm there for the third day, I'm one of the
I've been to Mexico many times with you, Brad.
I'm one of the boys by then. I almost
just because you keep saying Ernesto over and over
Isn't
again.
it funny though how you just say the same word louder and slower when it doesn't work? All right. Well, I'm glad we all have had those moments because I definitely thought of mine. Just
okay, here's
wanting to go
something
home.
that made me think. They wore such nice clothes and so much in terms of clothing, very close to the equator in Africa all the time.
Yeah.
Those suits, man, that had to be hot.
True. They all came from Paris, though, so everyone's very, like, fashion conscious.
Just terrible.
In Casablanca.
Does that not sound terrible,
most
though?
of them are French. Not only that, but think about, like, the soldiers' uniforms.
Yeah.
Yeah, close to the equator.
Oh.
For sure. And no air conditioning.
No.
Yeah, but standards. There's part of that I think I
Yearn for.
I hate it, but I'm like, you know what? It was nice when everyone had standards for themselves and wanted to look nice. Like that's
Yeah.
I like that.
You think we'll go back to that? I've heard so many people
everything's
think.
cyclical.
cyclical.
I think
yeah.
I know. I think so too. I've heard so many people think we're never going to go back to that. Everything's on Zoom. I don't even think everything's going to be on Zoom. I think people are going to get sick of it. We're going to go back to in-person
Oh.
meetings.
People are already sick of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I think
for
clothes.
sure.
I think clothes are going to make a comeback.
Yeah. Now, would I be excited to put on like a 3-piece suit every day? Right now, I wouldn't, but maybe then I would. But
I don't think I'd ever be excited about a 3-piece suit.
I
Like a
think
nice
that my
jacket?
time has passed, but it could be generations below us that decide to do that.
Oh.
there was a guy that we used to go on trips with that his family was just thing. You wore a suit when you went to an airport and got on a plane.
Mhm.
What?
Yeah, so he would wear
Is he
suit
American?
and tie every single time we went on a plane. He would wear a suit and tie.
Well, but the whole family would dress up like that?
That was a family like his that's what he was taught growing up in his family. You
Wow.
just get dressed up when you're getting on a plane, and
Fascinating.
I don't know.
Does he listen to the cover?
Kind of cool about it. He will be. I'll make sure I send it his way.
Nice.
Yeah, especially now that he's been on the episode. Hey man, talked about you.
So watching the general, the French, sorry, captain, French captain. Is that what I'm officially?
I believe he was titled.
Who are we talking about,
He
the
was
cop?
captain.
Yes, yeah, French captain. Watching him be so diplomatic made me want to vomit. But now that you explained the hedging your bets of,
Yeah.
that makes so much more sense.
Yeah, man.
So much more.
Who's going to win?
Yeah.
Well,
They flat out ask Rick, who's going to win this? And he's like, I don't have the slightest
The
idea.
last thing that this guy wants is to be occupied, and then to be sent straight to a concentration camp or killed.
Yep.
Right.
So he's, in very self-interested way, and he's
Yep.
a self-interested guy,
Yep,
right?
totally.
I mean, like
Many
this-
examples of that.
yeah, many examples of that. So yeah, he was literally just out of self-interest and self-preservation, and he's kind of a mercenary. This is a French occupied place that there's a lot of miscreants running around.
Can you think of anybody else besides, obviously, so Laszlo and Isla have their own, they're clearly on one side. Rick is kind of the only one in the entire equation that has zero care about who thinks what about him. He seems like the only business person that's not trying to take advantage of the situation necessarily, but maybe.
Sure. Even when he talks to the competitor at the Blue Parrot,
Yeah.
he goes, hey, my load was a little light. He's like, yeah, price of doing business. And he just lets it go.
Yep.
Like he is definitely carefree. And I wondered about that. I wrote that down too. I was like, is that good business practices because of the times you're not trying to stir up anything? Or is part of that just like bad? Like you need to, keep an eye out on your
It depends. Like, is he making money hand over fist so it doesn't matter?
Apparently he took a $20,000 bath at the casino and just wrote a check.
But then he goes, when they shut down his restaurant, he was like, we can survive for 2
20,000
weeks.
francs, by the way.
Francs.
And I'm assuming that the franc was probably in the tank at this time, since they had just been occupied by Germany.
Frank the Tank. It's a great reference.
I'm not sure if that's how they think about it though.
I don't know enough I don't know enough about economics
Currency.
to be able to say
Yeah,
definitively.
but you know about people, and if let's say the dollar just completely went to crap tomorrow, people would still very much care about $100, $1,000. Like the optics would take a really long time for you to be like, oh, I can't get anything with this.
Not if you couldn't.
But you could, because it was the same
It's called
types
inflation,
of
dude.
gambling.
I'm paying twice as much for groceries as I was 4 years ago.
Try like 10 times as much.
Well,
It's ridiculous.
well, that's also our families have also grown, so it's like double inflation.
Yeah.
But it's not like you have a choice. You don't have a choice on what things cost.
Right. Well, everyone's struggling too. It's not just that. Like they're struggling for cash. Period.
I just don't know. I just don't know how much 20,000 francs is.
It was really interesting. Like when you go into the bar, like one of the first scenes, there's like everyone is selling something.
Yep.
They're all sitting down, like trying to sell something to each other.
What's with the random dude that just keeps pickpocketing? He's in 2 scenes.
Dude, that's a hidden gem. It's
And-
awesome.
Is it hidden? I thought, what was it just to prove the point that, hey,
That's just
this
That's
is just
just-
where we're at.
That's
This is-
Casablanca, baby.
You're going to get
TIA.
stolen
This
from.
is Africa.
we were. So did you guys see?
You guys know that reference? TIA.
No.
This is Africa. Blood Diamond. Leo movie.
This is Africa.
Never seen it.
TIA. That's what they say.
This is Africa.
Mm-hmm.
You never seen Blood Diamond?
No.
It's pretty good. We were at this hookah bar in Greece, and this guy comes in and he puts, first of all, his pants are falling off. He's like, he looks homeless. He takes out cigarettes, cologne, watch, and something else, and just lays them on the table.
When you say cigarettes, you mean like a pack of cigarettes?
A pack of
Okay.
cigarettes.
For some reason, I envisioned like 14 like crumpled up cigarettes.
It
But
sounds
I mean,
like,
there's
it
part of
sounds
that
like
too.
when I
It's
had
like
to,
it's-
it sounds like when I had to carry that sock around in college, and I had all that
hot
stuff
dog.
in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like that. And he had like one other thing, and he was going up to like the three other people who were sitting there having a drink and asking them, and it looked like they were all super annoyed with him. So then he goes and sits in the corner, puts it on the table, and I'm like, are they going to ask this guy to leave? Because this is super uncomfortable. Then one guy who was like clearly not into this whole thing either gets up and goes over and starts negotiating with them for something.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, this is the craziest thing. And it was a out of body experience because there were just so many things that were off. The toilet didn't have like a door or anything on it. It was like a hole in the wall. They don't do tipping, and you wonder if you're like they're taking advantage of you with the language barrier and all this stuff. Like I felt like it was a scene in of Casablanca when I was there.
That's funny. I thought that the best part about the pickpocket was that everybody that was local knew he was a pickpocket.
Yeah.
Like when he bumps into the big fat guy, I can't think of
Yeah.
his name, and the guy's like
He checks his
checking himself all over the place.
But they
And he's
just
like,
let it
"Oh,
go."
okay, I'm fine.
Yeah,
He's-
but
yep, I'm
they're
just gonna let
totally-
him keep going.
So just to circle back on that, so did they end up exchanging drugs and cash?
It wasn't even drug. Like I was ready for that to happen so that I could make my exit. Right.
Yeah.
It never was that. It was literally like, I'm trying to remember the one other thing that he was selling, but it wasn't even the dollar amount that it couldn't have even been drugs. Like it was pretty clearly obvious that he was just selling some random stuff that was in his pockets.
Anytime out of the country in a hookah bar, do you know what me or the group that I've been in has been a target for every time? A lady of the night. Every single time.
Oh, really?
Like every time. And to the fullest extent of like, yeah. But to your point, Marcus, everybody that worked there is like, yeah, this is just a Wednesday night and you're American and you're here. So
Get ready.
like we're not blocking for you. Sorry. I did write down so many cigarettes.
Yeah, a lot of
so
smoking.
many cigarettes.
One of the characters mastered the art of not inhaling. I'm trying to remember which one it was. I think
mean,
it was the French diplomat.
I think that the late 40s were basically the heyday for cigarettes because they sent free cigarettes to everybody in World War II.
Mm-hmm.
And so all these soldiers came back addicted and then they had those awesome tans and everything else from being outside all the time. So once they came back, literally like everybody in America smoked cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow! I mean, horrible but genius.
Genius.
What you
Jeez,
mean?
for sure.
You mean because they were tan and handsome that they were marketing?
They were ripped. They were tan.
They're marketing like
Well,
it's cool to smoke.
I don't know that they meant it that way, but they definitely
Worked out.
They definitely meant to get the soldiers addicted to cigarettes while they were away. So they like literally sent over cigarettes.
No, I know, but what's your point in saying they were tan?
Well, now they come back. They're ripped. They're young. They're tan, just from being
Yeah.
outside and stuff all the time.
It's
So they
like,
look
hey.
great. So now smoking looks cool.
so
Fit,
basically,
attractive
yes,
men.
Remington. Everything you said was exactly.
I just
right.
said I don't know if they did it on purpose.
He
or
said it
not.
was a unintended consequence that worked out very well.
Yeah.
So Rick, first interaction with Isla.
Good Lord, it's Elsa.
Is it Elsa?
It's
They say it like
It's like-
Elsa.
Am
but you
I?
keep changing it.
Ilsa.
Ilsa,
Isla. Isla.
It's not Ilsa.
It's not
Ilsa.
Isla. It's
It's
Ilsa
definitely not
or
Isla.
Ilsa.
Ilsa. I'm. It's because I watch with subtitles. It's why it's there. First interaction with her, he kind of plays it cool and then absolutely blows it. And what it reminded me of is whenever you're listening to your wife and you have like a response that like there's a drop down menu that pops up and there's a response and You're like, don't say that one. Don't say that one. And then she just keeps talking, and before you know it, you're like silence, and you're like, maybe it's all right. And then you say it, and you're like, that was Rick. Rick blew it. Rick absolutely blew it. It was not good. Not good.
By the way, how much
That's
older?
a classic example of would you rather be right or rather be happy?
Ooh.
Rick would rather be right.
I'd rather be right. Which
Yeah,
is,
I got a little bit of Rick in me.
yeah, which I mean that kind of set us up to expect that out of Rick. Yeah.
He's got to be 15 years older than her, right?
Well, yeah, she says in the scene.
He's 37.
In the flashback, he goes, "Where were you 10 years ago?" She said, "I was getting braces. Where were you?" And he said, "I was looking for a job."
Yeah. He said he's 37. He's an old 37 in my opinion. I'm 37. I don't feel like I look as old as him. But I also think that guys,
dude,
like
they look
from 30,
so old.
I feel like guys from 35 to 50 look basically the same.
They can.
That's possible.
For sure. Yeah.
Ladies, tell us what you think. Oh, we didn't tell them to follow us on Instagram.
Oh, follow us
It's a long show.
Yeah.
at the cover pod. No, at the cover _podcast.
_podcast.
I feel very.
Yep. _podcast.
I feel
can't look
pretty
it up on
confident about this.
Yep. It's the cover _podcast.
The cover _podcast.
Riley, can you email us at thecoverpod@gmail.com and tell us what our Instagram is?
You know how many text messages I got that were send me the code this week when she was setting up the.
Yes, I do,
Instagram?
because I remember when you were setting up our YouTube
Oh
thing.
yeah.
So at what point did you realize this is not going to be as cool as what everyone thought it was? Or is it growing on you at all?
I think
that we talk about it?
It's growing on me here.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. There's certain movies and certain books.
Watching you with that 4-inch high flute of cognac is
It's
really.
got to be 5.
This explains a lot.
So many jokes.
This explains a lot.
Jokes.
Rick, first time you see his soft side though, maybe not the first time, but he saves that couple
Yeah.
from her basically,
From
Giving
her
it
having
up.
to do something that
She didn't
didn't
have
wanna
to do anything, by the way. She didn't have to do that.
Well, if
She-
they wanted
she
to get
felt
to
like she-
America,
Everyone feels like they have no choices. That is never a choice you have to make. Just figure it out.
Tyler would tell you that, right? Is that what? Oh, what is he? No, that's it.
Are you glitching right now?
I'm conflating. Well, I was literally thinking that
Tyler
it was
Durden?
Tyler Durden, but in my head, but I was thinking of the scene from Suits when he goes, "What do you do when somebody's got a gun at your head?" You know, because you think you don't have
only
any
have
options.
one option. You always have an option.
You always have options, and you can take the gun from them. You can do all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
always
But
got an option.
I don't know why
Anyway,
Tyler Durden was in my
Rick
head.
saved the couple from danger that they clearly didn't have to be in, but they were.
Yeah.
And that was super cool. I think
thought that was cool.
There was some really
there was
a lot of
young
comment-
lady reminded him of Ilsa.
Well, obviously, she started describing it, and they pan in on him.
Yep.
The music goes down.
Yep.
the Paris scenes. What's interesting about not knowing the end of the movie, when he asked her to marry him in Paris, she kind of like nervously laughs.
Yeah.
And you're thinking like, oh, is she not actually into him? Like, you don't know the whole backstory yet that she's actually married. What all did they know when they filmed that?
I don't know.
No, they knew that part. What I was saying was they didn't know necessarily who she was going to go with and who she was in love with when they gave him the script. They said, we don't know who, like, you make your choice. So it was literally the actress making her choice on who she's like not gonna go with, but who she's showing favoritism to in terms of love. Because when her husband's dead apparently, so she falls in love with this guy who's basically he's basically a rebound.
Savior
Rebound. Finds out that he's alive. She's put in an awful position. I don't know why she has to write why she have to write a note saying, don't, like, it's over. Don't ask me why, whatever. They make it.
Because she found out that her husband was alive.
So say that. I found out my husband was actually alive.
She's young. She's 16, 17. She's embarrassed. She doesn't know how to have that tough conversation. I think that's what it comes down to.
Well, in the later part of the movie, they make it sound like she blames all of the secrecy around his not wanting people to know that they're actually married in the first place for her safety. Because Laszlo.
Yeah.
Because if they know that they're married, they'll come after her because they're trying to put him in POW camps. They're trying to kill him. They're trying to hold him accountable. And he doesn't want that for her. So that makes sense. But she could still give Rick something versus just ripping his heart out.
Yeah, it was rough. She felt
And
bad.
he was sad.
He was sad.
He was mad.
He was broken. It was a staple for his character.
It reminded me of Brett in Mexico. That's what
Brett
it
in
reminded
Mexico or Elliot in Mexico?
Both.
Oh, yeah.
You're driving downtown.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a memorable
exactly what I'm thinking.
Oh, it was good. The explicit version
You were
that day.
you were heartbroken.
That was PCB.
It was,
That was PCB.
yeah, you were.
Pre-Christian Brett. That was
Oh,
good.
that's true.
Anyway.
All right, my favorite.
It's great telling inside jokes on podcasts where you can't tell the punchline. Our listeners love that.
Hey,
Hey,
well,
Brett
if they
was
want to join
heartbroken.
us on
Hey, we're not ready.
Oh, that would be the perfect time.
that
They're not
would
ready
be.
for that.
We'll circle back. We'll circle back on that. We'll put
okay.
a pin in that. Put a pin in it.
You guys ready for some fun facts?
Wait. My favorite scene. I think that.
Wait, before you say
Yeah,
your
wait.
favorite
I want to
scene,
guess.
Let's all say I think
We're gonna guess.
we're gonna guess at the same time you say it.
No.
Oh.
We'll just guess.
Okay, you
just
guess.
Your favorite scene in the movie.
Yeah, mine.
You got to give me a hint.
No.
No, okay, I'm gonna guess. Germany, France, sing off.
No.
Yes.
I thought that was too obvious because I already brought it up. I thought you would have said that.
It's too obvious
Well,
because
you
it's the
kinda brought
best
it up.
scene in the movie.
You
Well,
kind of
I got
brought it
a
up.
fun fact around
But
that scene.
Laszlo,
Two fun
in that
facts.
moment, I was like, this guy's my favorite character.
Stud.
He's awesome.
Stud. And that's when you.
That was
That's
such
when you knew.
a great move.
That's when you knew she loved him too because she like.
She loved them both. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
she loved them
If
both.
they ended up having Rick and her be together, what would even be the spin? How would they have spun that to make it a great ending still?
Redemption story for Laszlo.
Yeah, like what? Like
It's pretty impossible.
clearly they're not gonna let Rick turn Laszlo over to the
But see, that's the
Germans.
difference between, not even modern cinema, but Hallmark cinema and realistic cinema. And what makes a movie great is they make those hard choices. We've talked before about HBO series and AMC series, how they kill off people when you don't even see it coming.
Right.
And that's ultimately what makes people keep watching because it's just so unpredictable.
yeah.
It has to be this. It has to be this. It can't be Rick and her right off into the sunset and, Laszlo falls in love with someone else or worse, gets killed. Like, it can't be that. Not for it to go down in history as a great. Like, there has to be some sort of tragedy. There has to be heartbreak.
Well, I think there would be tragedy and heartbreak in that scenario, but it'd be very different.
Yeah, but it's not redemptive. Like, you're not cheering for anyone in that moment.
Yeah, there's no. I think this is I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Yeah, there's none of that.
none of that.
Which is one of the top 6
Oh,
lines
yeah.
of all time.
Oh, for
so
sure.
there's 2 fun facts that are going to blow your guys'
Spill 'em.
mind. The majority of extras in this movie were actual refugees.
Whoa.
Okay? There was only 2 people. I take that back. The majority of people, especially in that scene where they're singing, if you pan in, you can see a lot of tears because it was actual French refugees that were acting in that and when they
No
were singing
way.
during the war. They escaped POW camps, all this kind of stuff to come to America, and they used actual escaped refugees.
Well, they might have even come through Casablanca.
and they came through Lisbon and
Or
Casablanca.
That's
Yeah.
wild.
Oh man,
That's cool.
Now, second thing,
what a
that's-
fact!
second interesting fact is they called Humphrey Bogart in for a day of filming and didn't really tell him why. They said you didn't really need to know, but you need to come in and nod. And that was the nod that he gave to tell the band to play over, the French band to play over the Germans. He didn't know why he was nodding when he was acting in that scene. They said, we're filming something. You don't need to be here. You just need to come in and nod. So he comes in and he nods, and he had to watch the movie to find out what it was about.
That's cool.
Man, I'll tell you what, that scene was definitely my favorite, and it made Laszlo my favorite for sure. I mean, I was thinking about this too. Is like, imagine what he went through. Can you imagine? Like, we're such wimps. I
You always say this. I don't feel very wimpy just because I didn't go through.
No, I'm just saying, like, because we've not really experienced any kind of adversity, I think we're just kind of like asleep or soft, you know, if that makes any sense. Like, we have to like make up.
We have to manufacture.
We have to like there you go, manufacture problems and things. Like, these guys had another country invade their country, occupy their country, put you in concentration camps if you were saying bad things about them in your newspaper or whatever. He spent a year in said concentration camp and then comes back out and just keeps at it again.
What's the Hard Times quote?
I love that.
Hard times build hard men.
Make great men or something like that.
Hard times bring great men. Great men bring easy times. Easy times bring weak men. Weak men bring hard times.
Yeah.
Man.
But the thing...
I think it needs simplified.
But it is simplified. That was a little bit more
that's what the quote is.
I know, but I'm saying we could work on... Go ahead.
Well, basically, I mean, I feel like you could use that to a society to any degree. Like, we could pose the question, you know, on Instagram or whatever, and say, what do you think we're in right now? Are we in hard times? Are we in easy times? Is there weak men? Is there, you know?
Interesting.
So, but I think there's micro versions of that in all of our lives, right? Like, let's say your family.
Yeah.
Let's say you have a history of alcoholism in your family, and your dad was an alcoholic, so he brought on hard times, and you became a strong man because of that. And then you brought on easy times for your kids, and it was easy. So then they went down a certain path, became alcoholics, and brought it, and it creates that cycle. Well, we like to talk about that quote as it pertains to society, but it's micro levels of that in all of our lives. And I feel like when you say things about, you know, we're wimpy because we didn't go through all that. I mean, I think we're going through a pretty tough community, local community and country community time right now. Just because we're not occupied doesn't mean we're not dealing with some pretty hard times. I mean, that's my take.
Be definitely interesting 30 years from now, looking back on right now, like revisionist history on it, and see what was really going on. Were there stances that we wish we would have been more boisterous about?
I would put it this way.
Boisterous or boisterous?
Boisterous. I like boisterous.
Boisterous sounds great, and I've used it for many years.
Okay, so I don't want to go. I don't want to go too dark. We can come out of this topic, but like, has there ever been a time where you've been more worried in history to send your kids to school with school shootings? Like, there's certain things. Yeah, sure, we're not occupied by Gestapo, but there's never been a time where I've worried more about my kids just being at school.
That's fair. Like, have we ever been as much of a danger to ourselves?
Yeah.
As now, man, that's it doesn't look the same as prior struggles, but yeah, that's even scarier in many aspects, I would say.
But yeah, this was definitely anti-Nazi. I mean, there's a ton of fun facts around the Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers.
They would say anti-German, by the way.
Yeah. The Warner Brothers kind of led the charge on anti-German films.
Well, they also took big advantage from a marketing perspective of this, because apparently FDR was going to Casablanca.
Yeah.
For
summits.
For a big summit. And so they rushed this into production right before that, specifically so that they could get all the marketing.
Okay, so this has a layer to it. With Hollywood and I believe we've talked about this before. I think so. Hollywood is definitely in this time. There's a lot of Jewish presence in Hollywood in general.
Money side,
totally,
on the producer side.
So. For them not to go harder at the Germans in this film, I mean, I guess they do shoot one at the end. That's fair. But, like, I don't know. I just
You don't think they go hard at the Germans? The whole thing is anti-German.
Marcus's side of it of hedging your bets makes a lot more sense now that I hear that. But no, I don't.
But you're just talking about one of the central characters of the French.
The characters themselves, yeah. Like I
think that's the dilemma that they were in. Like,
yeah, it was.
we're gonna be doing. I don't know if you guys have started the
Dude,
Man Search
for
Meaning.
Meaning is
the
amazing.
the hero is so clearly Victor Laszlo in this movie.
100%.
For Warner Brothers to take that strong of a stance
Yeah.
and make him the hero. Put it this way. Germany played this movie for the first time 15 years later and took out all the anti-Nazi stuff. And it wasn't until the 70s where Germany actually played the entire real movie.
Oh, wow.
That's how long it was before they actually put back. It was like only
Got
an
it.
hour. It was an hour and 42 minutes. The movie was only an hour and 10 minutes the first time they showed it in Germany. 15 years afterwards, which would have been 10 years after the war. So even Germany felt like it was an attack against them. Is my point with that.
Got it. And for that to be the ending they choose, this is 2 years before the war ends?
3.
3 years before the war ends?
Yeah, 2.5 probably.
Yeah, I'm at Man Search for Meaning. I'm at the moment where he starts telling stories about life after camp. I'm just right there. It's great.
Yeah, I'm just, you think about, and obviously it'll be a different podcast, but it's the same period of time. You're dealing with many of the same things, and like at some point you're trying not to be conspicuous is something that he says. And I think that many of the characters are doing some underhanded things, but not doing quite enough to be too conspicuous because they can't be too valuable. They can't be they do not know what's going to happen, and self-preservation at that point takes over. So that's probably why you were frustrated with those characters.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, it's not what's his face from Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah, if that's the standard we're all going to be.
Yeah.
Man,
the Bear Jew.
We gotta jump on that. I'm just gonna watch that to watch it. Actually, I'm
That's a
not.
good
We
idea.
don't need to assign.
Wow,
it.
we're just gonna watch something to watch something.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Oh man, look at us.
Whoa.
Any other things that made us think?
Okay, I got one. This is a fun fact / really made me think. So Madonna got a hold of this idea in her head and tried to pitch a remake of this movie where she pitched herself as
Ingrid.
Elsa,
Yeah.
Ingrid Bergman's character, and she wanted Ashton Kutcher to play Rick. And it got turned, which, by the way, I mean, we can get some mileage on that. I don't know what's going on there.
Him and Cougars, man.
But she wanted it.
She had a crush on
She
Ashton.
pitched it to every studio, and every time they said, the quote was, "This film is deemed untouchable." So
Yeah.
she eventually
Oh, wow.
scrapped and proposed the project. So I wrote down what films are truly untouchable, and is there such a thing?
Yes, I do think
Okay.
there's a thing, and
So what classifies
I was actually
a-
thinking
a
about
film
this
as untouchable?
So I didn't know that, but I was thinking about this question because I was like, a lot of times she'll say, what actors turned down the role,
Yeah,
but
I got one of
obviously
those.
we're not going to know any of those.
No, I know him. You're gonna know this one.
Okay.
Let me just pause you actually because you just said that.
Okay.
Guess who was cued to play the role of Humphrey Bogart?
Harrison Ford.
No, I mean
I'm
this is
kidding.
old. This is old. This is 40s.
I know.
You're
it was
gonna
a
think you're not
joke.
gonna know, but you guys
It
know.
was a joke.
Clint Eastwood.
No,
Dick Van Dyke.
No, Ronald Reagan.
Whoa!
Wow.
Now it was a rumor that Warner Brothers spread to
Get people interested.
But
Got it.
Reagan was the name that they leveraged.
Interesting.
Isn't that funny?
Huh.
Because
Reagan.
Reagan was a president in the 80s. The dude lived a full life.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it.
Sorry to interrupt,
He was
but
governor
keep
as well.
going.
But I was thinking about that, and then I was like, I wonder if we took it a different direction and said if we were going to remake Casablanca. And as I was having this conversation with myself while you two were talking about something else, I was like, you know what? I think it would be terrible. Like I think that if you remade it,
You'd have to.
it'd be really
It
bad.
has to be your
You
own
couldn't-
take on
yeah,
it.
totally.
Yeah.
You couldn't recreate the classic scenes. You'd have to do it completely different.
I want to say I don't think there's anything untouchable if the right guy or girl gets their hands on
I don't know.
it.
I don't know how you would take some like cult type classics.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how.
Like how would you-
But that I wouldn't call that. Well, maybe that is untouchable.
So like if you
I
think like in my opinion, like you take something like Princess Bride,
Yeah.
like you're never gonna recreate the
Yeah.
the magic and the
when Rem
because
said
ridiculous-
untouchable, I was thinking
Like,
like a
you're not gonna be able
timeless
to-
classic that
Like
yeah.
Titanic. Could you remake the Titanic?
Yes.
You could
I do
remake the
think you could
Titanic, but
remake
you can't
Titanic.
remake Princess
So
Bride.
I don't
think
think
so.
it's on the standard I was thinking when you asked the question, but yes, there are movies that you just wouldn't like. You wouldn't remake Pulp Fiction. I don't
Right.
think
You can't. Yeah,
No,
I would
so-
say most. I would say most Tarantino films. Like
Yeah.
you're not gonna be able to
But
remake. it.
the
Wizard
word
of Oz.
untouchable. The word
Wizard of Oz.
oh yeah,
You could do that one.
for sure.
But why haven't they? I mean, that sucker is old.
Well, they've done different like iterations of.
I mean, they did Wicked.
No. There's a Oz the Great and Powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And Wicked is coming out soon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when you said untouchable, I thought like it's so glorious and perfect in its time that you shouldn't mess with it. Not possible.
Yeah, you're not gonna remake like Blazing Saddles.
Yeah,
right? You're not
there's a
gonna
scene-
remake like Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
There's a scene
Like,
in Entourage.
You're just not gonna be able to do those.
They're sitting in Ari's office and they're talking about Scarface, and E tells Vince, he's like, "Hey, you should remake that."
Yeah.
And he's like, "You would remake the Mona Lisa, wouldn't you?"
Mhm.
And I've never forgotten that line. I was like, there are certain movies where it's like, why? Why would you do that? That would just be a money grab. It's
You're not
even
gonna
an
remake
interpretation.
Godfather.
Godfather?
Yeah, you're not gonna do that one.
See, some of the movies you're saying, I'm just like, I
think
feel
somebody
like you
could.
could. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
it's like-
someone could take over The Godfather.
Mm.
It wouldn't be a 4-hour epic bloodbath like it was. It would be like different. But the fact that they made, put it this way,
I don't
they
think you
made
can
4
do
of
it.
them. So they did remake The Godfather.
4 or 3?
4.
There's 3.
Is there 3?
There's 3.
You know,
We're
maybe an
such
unpopular
movie
take. I
buffs.
think I
There is
like.
3.
I
Yeah.
think I like Goodfellas better than Godfather.
Yeah, there's certain
I
gangster.
love
would.
Goodfellas.
You
Goodfellas is
Oh, I
good.
love
Casino.
Casino's also very good, but Goodfellas is my jam.
Yeah.
Having him make the sauce. Don't stop stirring it.
The thin.
Goodfellas is
The
Scorsese,
thin
right?
garlic that they're cutting. In.
Yeah.
Goodfellas is Scorsese, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Feels right. I have no idea though.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah, feels right. One of my last thoughts. I guess I'll die on the sword. She respects and admires Laszlo, but she loves Rick.
I think that's true. I think that's true.
Do you think it's
I
possible
think
that she loves them both?
I think she loves him too. I think she loves him too, and she's
she
she's
loves-
a woman of integrity. And
Well, she loves Laszlo for what he stands for, but she loves Rick. Period. No explanation. She loves Rick.
I don't. This could get into a much bigger, deeper, more philosophical question.
It's like we should create a podcast for
like,
it.
does it
It's-
matter?
It's like we should create a podcast for it.
I think that whoever she chooses is what it is.
She chose Rick for the record.
No, she told Rick to choose for them.
That's true. She did not choose Rick. She was okay.
She wasn't unhappy.
She was a little
She wa-
okay.
she wasn't
was a
unhappy.
little. Yeah, she was a little too okay.
She was
to
like,
just
I
let
didn't
her
want
husband.
to. No. Here's what it was. I wasn't brave enough to make the decision. This is what I wanted, so I'm letting you make it because I can't live with myself if I make it.
That was a little weak sauce, Marcus.
Hey, here's my notes from Rick potentially turning over Laszlo. Rick, no, what are you doing? Turning over Laszlo. Oh, okay, duh. The general comes through, or the captain. Captain comes through, and that is who he says. This is the beginning of.
This is the beginning of a.
Is it Louis?
Here's looking at you, kid. The first time he said it, I was like, I don't quite get it. What?
Well, she is a kid.
But here's looking. I know it's the first time the quote's being used. So what?
It's an endearing like my world is revolved around you quote.
I would be curious. As to how
It would definitely be canceled today.
I would be curious as to how like women in general would feel
Like
about
that
this
quote?
film because
Yeah.
I mean they don't think too much of her or
The way they
other
cast
lady
her,
at
the
the
way
bar.
the way they write them.
Yeah, just the way they write them.
Yeah.
You know.
So what is? So here's looking at you, kid. You said you think it would get you canceled today. In what?
Oh no, I'm being facetious.
Sure, but what is if? I mean, am I getting too deep in asking what the heck does that mean when someone says that? What does he mean by it?
I mean, it sounds kind of it doesn't sound good. You know what I mean? Like people have canceled the Dean Martin Christmas song. Baby, it's cold outside.
Man.
You know what I mean? So like it's
me
one of
and
those
Willow
things
will crush that song.
on
Any karaoke.
on karaoke.
Well, I mean, John Legend and
His wife.
nope, John Legend and
Mike,
man.
well, I would tell you this.
American Idol winner. She's a
Kelly Clarkson.
Kelly Clarkson remade that song, and it's got like very different lyrics.
Oh yeah.
Well, Michael Bublé and Idina Menzel did it, and it's the same lyrics, and it's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
It's great.
What do you think about it, Idina Menzel? I guess.
Can we get into quotes,
Sure, let's do it.
if you will? My favorite Rick quote was it's from Rick to Laszlo. He says something to Laszlo, and Laszlo goes, "Well, I try," and he goes, "We all try. You succeed."
Mm-hmm.
That was good. What else we got?
There's 6 quotes that the American Film Institute lists as top movie quotes. Can you get all 6?
So here's looking at you, kid.
That's one.
Beginning of a beautiful relationship.
Yep. The actual. Let's read
Friendship.
the actual quote for that.
Huh?
Louis, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Okay, this is probably not, but one of my favorites. It would take a miracle to get you out of Casablanca, and the Germans have outlawed miracles.
Nope, that's not one, but that's a good quote.
Very good quote. And my last one, also not one of them, when it's the couple who says they're learning English to go to America, the older couple, and they're kind of piecing words together, and she's trying to say, "What time is it?" And she goes,
yeah.
She goes, "What watch?" And he goes,
Watch.
10 o'clock watch. Okay.
And then they go, "You're gonna get along well in America. You guys are gonna get along perfectly in America."
Yeah, it's so good.
10 watch.
I don't think I have any of the ones that.
There's one about Paris. Do you guys remember the Paris one?
No.
Only ever in Paris.
We'll always have Paris.
Oh, we'll always have. Yeah.
We'll always have a Paris. We'll always have Paris.
That does get quoted in other movies and things
Yeah.
as well.
Say it one more time.
We'll always have
we'll
Paris.
always
We'll
have
always
Paris.
I said only ever in Paris. That was a.
By the way, people just made Paris romantic. We could literally just make Indy romantic. It's all a marketing
Very
ploy.
I think it's
weird
pretty
flex in
romantic.
a room with 3 dudes, but I like it. Keep going. I said only ever in Paris as a inside joke to one of our very dedicated listeners. Keep going.
I said play it again, Sam. I was wrong. That's never actually in the movie, and it's
Wow,
been
isn't that
misquoted for 60-some years.
Isn't that crazy?
It's the quote is "Play it, Sam. Play as time goes by." And then when Humphrey Bogart says it later, he doesn't say "Play it again, Sam" either. But it's "Play it, Sam. Play as time goes by," which that's a killer song.
Yeah.
When he starts
yeah.
playing,
Sam is a great character. In
he
this
is.
movie.
You guys know he wasn't playing the piano.
Oh.
No.
He's a drummer, so he was mimicking play. If you look really closely, it's pretty bad.
I'm sure if I was. I'm sure if
There's a couple.
I'm
There's
sure
a couple
that,
scenes that are pretty bad.
I'm sure that now that I know,
Yeah.
I will forever notice.
He is
because
singing though.
It's not. I mean, I guess you can fake it pretty easily, but you'd have to.
Yeah, they're panning out. It's hard to see. He's a good actor.
Oh, do you want to hear my faking instrument story?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I'm elementary school, I think probably third grade,
Recorder?
fourth grade. No, we were doing a Christmas play. I was Franz Gruber, I think, wrote Silent Night.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm the main character basically that writes Silent Night, and the whole play is about him coming up with Silent Night. And at a couple of different points, and I have to have the guitar, and I'm playing the guitar. The guitar doesn't have strings on it. Right?
You're on stage.
But I'm on stage and I'm pretending
Yeah.
to play guitar, little third grade me or whatever, and I'm singing while I'm doing it, right? And so many people came up to my parents afterwards and they were like, "We had no idea he could play guitar too." And like, I must have just nailed it as a third grader.
That's
They
very
have,
Tara Westover of you.
There was a period of time where colleges would host air guitar battles,
Oh,
and you would have killed it. You missed your calling.
I don't think I would have.
Round out our
dance.
Round
I don't
out our
think so.
top. I have seen you dance, and remember at your bachelor party in Evansville where you had to dance with a girl, and then you gave her a
my
high five
goodness.
afterwards.
So bad.
Oh my gosh. I still can picture that high five.
Oh, that was awesome.
I was very uncomfortable.
I can still picture that high five. Okay, so we'll always have Paris. Of all the gin joints and all the towns and all the world, she walks into mine. That's number 67. That's actually the least performing one. And then a hidden gem, round up the usual suspects. The last line of the movie. Not the last line of the movie. One of the last lines of the movie. It's pretty crazy because those last two lines of the movie, like there's so many good lines throughout the movie, but those last two are voted on as most recognizable.
I mean, round up the usual suspects.
That's a great line.
Yeah.
And then there's even a movie made called The Usual Suspects.
Yeah.
Which nuts.
Should absolutely be on this podcast.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
That'd be worth it.
Marcus, any more quotes?
Oh,
But
yes.
it's a context of why he's saying it. He's basically,
Correct.
Right.
You know what?
He's making his decision.
He's like,
too.
I have decided I'm siding with Rick.
Yep.
Capitan.
Not just Rick, but
This side of the war.
France.
Well, unless
The Allies.
unless the Allies start losing again, then he clearly can be bought.
I don't think so.
Where are we at?
Not
Quotes or
this point.
gems?
Hold on. Whoa.
Quotes.
What's your nationality? Nobody remembers
Hold
what he
on.
says?
Drunkard.
I'm a drunk.
Oh, dang it.
What's your nationality? I'm a drunk. I
drunk.
thought that was pretty funny, especially knowing what I knew about him in general as an actor or a person.
So, I mean, along those lines, you were talking about fun facts. So his wife suspected him of having an affair with Ingrid Bergman before they even, apparently with nothing to go on. Like, she thought she was pretty or whatever. So he would show up to set pissed off every single day to do his lines and stuff like that. That's why they couldn't wait to get out of the movie. He was also 2 inches shorter than Ingrid Bergman. So he has to stand,
I read that too.
He has to stand on boxes and they film it at certain angles.
There's
and
so
stuff.
many guy actors that are so
Super short.
I really missed my calling.
You did.
Oh, I was trying to play sports and stuff. Ridiculous. If you'd like to cast me in a movie, email us at thecoverpod@gmail.com.
We'll get back to you. We got a resume ready to go.
Let's see here. Two gambling ones. All right. I thought it was because I let you win at roulette. Mm-hmm. I thought that was pretty good. Their friendship was based on that. But then the better one comes later when he shuts them down.
I'm shocked.
And he says, I'm shocked. There's gambling going on here.
I'm shocked.
And then, sir, your winnings. I thought that was hilarious.
That was my hidden gem.
Hidden gems. I've got a It's a Wonderful Life hidden gem.
Oh,
Ooh.
The pharmacist in It's a Wonderful Life is in the opening scene in Rick's Cafe.
the one
at
that
a table.
smacks the crap out of that kid's face.
Yes,
Yeah.
he does. Yeah,
And
but
we're just okay with that.
It's because he found out his son died. I mean, it was a rough time.
Hopped up on
It
pills.
was a rough time. I
Just
told you
give
about
me a
Laszlo and Ilsa never kissing. Okay, movie magic.
Oh, boy.
So the original dude that has the papers, they find out he has the papers, and he shoots the guys that are trying to stop him. He kills a guy in Rick's Cafe.
Yeah.
Everybody,
A cop.
I have the same thing written down.
everybody just carries on.
Dude gets arrested and shot, and everybody just keeps going on.
It's like, hey, we're good. Don't worry about it. Like, just not. We don't see him.
Dude, so, I mean, to that point, my last note with Round Up the Usual Suspects is it reminds me of Hillbilly Elegy when we talked about community moral code. Trumps federal law, Trumps state law,
that's good.
Trumps the local law. And that's just what Casablanca was.
Somebody got shot. Oh,
TIA,
Yeah.
man.
I don't know.
TIA.
Yeah, they probably deserved it. Can they get another drink?
All right. Oh,
you know?
that's fine. More hidden gems.
Well, not necessarily a hidden gem.
Yeah.
I think I wrote this somewhere else, but I thought that it was so cool. I guess it is a hidden gem. He's playing chess right at the beginning, right? Then he gets the papers, knows that those papers are going to be valuable, knows that people are going to be looking for those papers, and makes what I think is a great chess move in the movie
Putting
by
it in
putting
the
them
piano.
In the piano.
where nobody looks. I thought that was really, really interesting. I was trying to figure out the second time I was watching it if there was any point to the chess. Like, he's playing chess against himself.
Well,
Right?
do you know the story behind that?
No.
Humphrey Bogart was a big time chess player. He was actually featured in Chess, the Chess Digest or whatever, in 1945.
Okay.
So he actually hustled before he became an actor. That's how he made money, is hustling
Interesting.
chess.
Well, that's fascinating. But I do think that there's some chess playing going on all movie by him.
Yeah, there's also
And I thought
Starbucks
that was
cups
a
in every single scene.
Great.
Any more hidden gems?
Yes, the last one I had was that when they're getting off of the airplane and the captain or whatever is meeting the Germans that are coming by, then the Italian guy comes up and he's trying to talk to the German and he just gets completely ignored, right? I feel like that's kind of like the Italians for all of World War II is like they were right there with Germany, but
citizens.
they're pretty much ignored, which is interesting.
So again,
He speaks third best
Brett
Italian.
not paying attention in high school, going to what I find out now is a very average performing public school, and dropping out of college after his first semester junior year. Italians and Germany together, World War II. They're oh man, yeah. They don't get any flack. How much do you think they knew? How deep the Germans?
Never heard of a guy named Mussolini?
Yes.
Okay.
But I didn't know that was
Italian.
Same time,
no.
different. Genghis Khan, they were all the same time. Marcus Aurelius.
Genghis Khan was
Marcus
also on the
Aurelius?
German side.
Yeah.
That's when I knew it was a joke. Okay. Rating. I'm gonna start. I wrote it down as soon as I was done watching it. I wrote it down. I'm not changing my rating. That'd be unfair. That'd be unfair to the cover podcast conversation. 9 out of 9. What did I rate it after I watched it? A 6.
Wow.
Rated a 6. Yep.
Are you
Cannot
just not good
wait
at
to
watching
hear what
movies?
I cannot wait to hear what Drew has to say about
Did you
it.
guys
Serious
listen to the
question.
voicemail
Serious
I sent
question.
you?
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
I put it in the drive. Drew left me a voicemail.
You said it on one of our podcasts.
Yeah, Drew, one of our
About your
listeners from
takes?
Cleveland.
Yeah. No, but I'm just wondering if you're just not good at watching movies.
This is either my position on the podcast perfectly placed or I'm on the wrong podcast.
I'm interested in, after a year of watching movies with you, if the way you dissect movies changes, or if this is just you just don't like old movies. Because you
I'm
love
a big
us.
fan of old movies.
You love
Yeah.
Us a Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
Okay. Then
I was
what?
watching this thinking, man, we should do a John Wayne movie. I've got some.
You love John Wayne. I was
love
never a John Wayne guy.
I love John Wayne.
But I'm open to it. Unlike the guy in the other corner over here.
I think we could pick a couple good ones. We could do True Grit.
We definitely should do like The Good, Bad, and the Ugly, like some of those.
Yeah.
I will say
John Wayne is in more movies as a leading man than any actor in history.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will need to watch those movies without Riley around because
Did you watch that Casablanca with her around?
Yeah, she hated it.
Oh, that's
Really?
totally.
It doesn't help.
How
That's
does she hate
totally-
this movie? That doesn't make any sense.
Was it boring to her?
What kind of
Very,
movies?
very
What
That's
kind
the
of movies
problem.
does Riley watch?
Lots of
She doesn't like blood
predictable
squirts,
things.
and she doesn't like
she doesn't
love
mind the blood
stories,
squirts as much.
and
It's
she
a-
doesn't like love stories. What does she like?
She loves love stories.
This was a love story.
Yeah, but not a 21st century love story.
Oh my
It's-
goodness.
yeah.
Get
Okay,
with the
minus
program,
Riley. Why is
I,
this?
I don't. I
Were you
just-
bored?
I think it was the expectation going into it, knowing it's one of your favorites. I think I'm thinking when is it gonna get great? When is it gonna get great? And I feel like I said that about another movie that we watched.
Pirates.
Pirates of the
Pirates,
Caribbean.
same thing. I was like,
Yeah.
when is this gonna get great?
That's a different situation.
But you also
altogether.
gave Gladiator a 7, so
Man, Gladiators are
Yeah.
8. Gladiators are at least an 8.
I'm
Gladiators are 8.
excited. I'm excited for Whiplash, where I
I
can just
love
shred it.
By the way, I loved Gladiator.
I'm probably gonna give Whiplash a 5 just because.
there was a couple of moments during Gladiator where like they did slow motion when they didn't need to, and it was weird. There was just a couple weird decisions during Gladiator. That's all.
That's what gave it an 8 out of 9.
It was a 7.
It was a
first of
7.
all.
He gave it a 7.
Second of all, yeah. If I'm gonna give this a 6, I
You
think
didn't
Gladiator's
give
an 8.
Gladiator a 7.
I did.
He gave it a 7.
Gave it a 7.
I did.
Unbelievable.
Out of 9.
I'm assuming you're a 9.
I'm a 9.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go 8-7. 8.7.
So that's cool because that was the first time you watched it and you really enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed it.
He's seen many parts of it
You've
before,
seen many
but never
scenes.
felt inclined to actually watch it until he was assigned to.
Yeah, that's right. That's what's great
I,
about this
I
show.
honestly thought that I'd seen it. Like I even think I said
So
in the
you'd
last
say
episode.
it's an 8.7, but it's forgettable.
Stop it. He's trying to justify his position over here. This is just terrible.
I really enjoyed it. I understand, and I think especially if you think about it culturally in that cultural moment,
Yeah.
how it became so important and such a piece of Americana.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that the
Actors
Jewish,
Guild.
I think
The
too that
Actors Guild.
I think too that the Jewish narrative, like, there being so many producers with that like Jewish history
Yep.
and Jewish heritage, right? I'm sure that plays a role in how they all feel about this
Totally.
film and why it gets referenced all the time and
Yep.
everything
So
else.
put it this way. You're a big sports guy, Brett. You like there's certain awards where all the football players will decide who is player voted awards. I assume you like that tradition. Like that's good.
Sure.
It's cool to hear. The Actors Guild voted this top 3 movie of all time. Like actors, everyone in cinema over the course of the next 60 years have voted it top 3 movies of all time. Like that's got to mean something.
It was very good, and I it may be one that grows even more on me over time because
Yeah.
I'm sure that I'll watch it again.
It is an interesting take though about how women feel about it. I don't know. Kelsey fell asleep halfway through like she always does every time we watch this movie. So she has to this day does not know how it ends. And I don't think we really gave away any spoilers.
Jessica and I watched half of it before I started to fall asleep. But this was like
I'm just saying, fell asleep during the movie, gave it an
No,
8.7.
I
That's all I'm saying.
I fell asleep
This
during
was-
Fight Club this
You
week.
know-
this was after a very long day.
Okay, but
I was
here's
trying
It
to
was a
fit
yes
in.
day. It was a yes day for Marcus.
Here's the difference. Here's the difference is that sometimes I do believe movies we're told it's good by people who know what's good.
That's how I
so
felt
then
about
it's like-
Hemingway. That's how
so
I
th-
felt about Hemingway.
Okay, all right. Well, you know what?
Agree to disagree. But yes, I understand what you're
I
saying.
don't think we disagree. Good movie.
There's
A
movies,
great
There's
conversation
still
on it.
movies that the critics really like that I like. Yeah, not for me.
Like
Yeah.
what?
I don't know. Off the top of my head,
There's some of the best pictures in the last 10 years. About half of them, I'm like,
yeah.
why?
Well, I think for me,
It's getting too political for
I
best
think
picture.
for me, there's
That's true.
There's some things that are. Oh yeah, that was one of them. What was the one that like Leo and Jennifer Lawrence did and stuff? That
The Sky is Falling one?
yeah, that one that was
That
awful.
didn't win
Whoa,
Best
whoa,
Picture.
that won awards.
That did not win Best
it
Picture.
was up for awards.
Oh, jeez.
I didn't think it was awful.
I thought it was terrible.
Oh,
Really?
It was
Yeah.
not. It was not great.
I just really like movies.
I do
sometimes
too-
I
do too,
Sometimes
but
I give them a pass.
I
The whole
really like
time I was
movies,
like, I
too.
know what you're trying to do, and this is dumb. Why
yeah,
are you doing?
yeah, just say it.
Just say it.
I just it was not. I thought it was just,
yeah, I don't remember feeling. I honestly don't remember much.
And then the other thing is like when movies are super sexual, I just can't. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just.
That's. I mean, there's a time and place.
I can
for that.
handle a lot of cussing, but just a lot of sex just for the sake of sex or whatever.
Oh,
It's
so
like-
you're saying like some of the ones that won Best Picture just have a bunch of crap in it?
yeah, like the
Like
new
Babylon.
one, well, or like the new one with Emma Stone.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's like I want to see it because I like the actors in it,
yeah.
but it's almost like
Yeah.
it's bad.
For some reason, I picture you saying, "I want to see it because I like boobs."
Nope.
Where did your head go?
I don't know. I think I was thinking of a joke like that for too long, and then I missed my opportunity. And then it just popped
Oh, I'll
back.
give you. So we can finish with this because I think it's pretty funny now that you brought up boobs. We can say it again. So we were quoting in the I guess which episode were we quoting about the guy that
A
Revenant.
night sale?
Revenant, where he says that he wants a girl with big
Oh
boobs.
yeah.
Oh yes.
Right? So we bring up that quote.
Yeah.
Right. So Jessica apparently was listening to The Revenant, like when she was like, picking up the kids or whatever. And she was the whole time. She's like, I made it through all the like you guys talking about the bear ripping the guy's throat and like all of these things. I made it through all that, so I thought I was fine, and I was fine. And all of a sudden, I hear Colby giggling in the back. And she's telling the story at the dinner table.
So Jessica phases out and didn't hear it.
She's telling the story at the dinner table, right? So then Jude, my 6-year-old, is laughing. Oh, it's just
Okay, my kids walked in the door and said, "Daddy, you said a bad word." And I'm like, what I said? They're like, we don't know. Mommy told us. Because apparently it happened in the car on the way home, and then she like switched it off.
Only Daddy speaks that way.
That's funny.
What's next? Well, we got 2 for sure that we're locked in on. Man's Search for Meaning. I'm probably 50% through.
Viktor Frankl.
Yeah,
Man.
I'm a little over 50%. Really good.
I'm at
Really?
0%.
Wow, you got some good stuff in store.
You know the
stuff.
challenge with reading on this podcast is there's other books I also want to read.
I know.
And it's so much content because I also listen to this podcast, unlike
I do too.
Our host.
Yeah.
So like it's just a lot. There's a lot of stuff going on.
I have shut down all other reading for this podcast.
I mean, it's good reading. If you're gonna read something, you might as well read what we're reading.
For sure.
That's true. I've been really enjoying the reading we've been doing.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
And then my birthday special, Whiplash.
Yeah, that's next,
coming
right?
up.
Whiplash is next?
Rem's rating 5 out of 9. We already.
Oh, that's what I
disclosed
said. I said I'm 5 out of 9.
Now what's
There's
do
no
we know-
chance I'm giving Whiplash.
Rem,
a
do you want
5.
us to commit to Whiplash next?
I thought we already would.
We already did. Yeah,
Okay.
it's
Yeah,
on
yeah.
the
Whiplash
production
and then-
schedule.
I'm
Man's Search.
pumped about Whiplash.
Okay,
I'm a
beautiful.
big Whiplash fan.
My favorite ending to a movie of all time. Now that I've seen Casablanca, hey.
That was a
That's
good
your
ending.
favorite
ending?
That was a good ending.
Yeah,
Whiplash.
Whiplash is my favorite ending. Casablanca, very good ending. My favorite not my favorite movie. Favorite ending to a movie of all time.
So far.
My wife and I, we watched it. She falls asleep. I watched the last probably 20 minutes
She
by myself.
fell asleep during Whiplash?
I will. It gets over. It ends. I wake her up and I say, "I'm rewinding this by 10 minutes. You are watching the end of this movie," and I watched the whole thing again. It's so great.
That's what happened. I watched Tick Tick Boom. I watched that one on Netflix one day, and I was like, Jessica needs to watch this.
You just
and
rewatched
I
it?
rewatched it like that day.
Yeah.
That's a really good one.
So
especially if you like musicals.
I want to throw out some stats before we sign off here,
Ooh.
just because I like to promote like other things we've done, so that people. I think there's 2 ways people listen to podcasts. At least if I'm looking at myself,
Yeah.
There's people who are diehards that listen to podcasts every single day. I've got probably 5 in my rotation, including ours, that I listen to.
Yeah.
Depending on where I'm at, some I listen to gym, some I listen to mowing.
I'm in the same boat.
There's some podcasts that I just take a break from, and then I binge them, like on a road trip.
Yep.
I think that's how people are going to digest our podcast. So if you're one of those people where like you don't listen to every single episode, here's 2 episodes to think about in our last 5 episodes that have performed really well. The first one is Forrest Gump. Has outperformed has outperformed our last 6 episodes. And then number 2 is The Revenant, which came out a few episodes back.
Wow.
So those are our top 2 in our last 6.
Also, glad we did it this way, but if you've only listened to some, like first ones like Remember the Titans is literally us in real time figuring out
How to do
what
this
the
podcast.
podcast is.
Yeah.
Which is going to be cool down the road. However, it's the first one you ever listen to and you happen to stumble across this one, just realize early in the game.
We get
on that
better.
one. We think so.
I like listening to our podcast.
I like it a lot. Well, cheers to the cognac and the high noon.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Looking at you, kid.
Hey, we'll see you next time.
There we go.